fellas, let's go. Here we go. Big play. Trips open right, 334 stretch, Z post, X stop, on two. Ready?
This is my dad's show.
It's called the Quarterback Dadcast.
Hey everybody, it's Casey Jaycox with the Quarterback Dadcast. I want to say thanks to all of our listeners, thanks to all of our sponsors for all your support. We are continuing to enjoy this journey together, inspiring dads, but I want to take a minute now to talk about Acme Homes. You've heard me talk about them before, but I'm going to talk about them again. Bob Cumming, former college teammate, amazing leader, amazing home builder. They continue to take so much pride in the work they do, the craftsmanship, the attention to detail. Whether you're looking for a home up in Monroe, up in Sultan, up in Wenatchee, this is where they're doing their amazing things. So many people during the pandemic, as we have the ability to work from home, have decided to move out of the city to try to find homes where there's more acreage. Well, that's exactly what Bob and team at Acme Homes give you. So check out Valley Vista up in Monroe. Check out Daisy Meadows out in Sultan. And if you want to even go to Eastern Washington, check out Sienna Heights in Wenatchee. They're, again, amazing craftsmanship, amazing floor plans. You can visit them at acmehomeswa.com. And if you're interested in learning specifically about listings or mortgage opportunities, contact Jen at 425-308-8082 or Denise at 425-309-2318. So now, why are we doing a new ad? Because we want to talk about a partnership they have with Portage Bank. Kevin Jensen is one of the great lenders over there. He's the senior vice president. He's going to take care of you. And right now, if you obtain a mortgage through Portage Bank, Bob and team at Acme Homes are going to pay your $500 appraisal fee. I said that right. They're going to pay your $500 appraisal fee by buying a home through them, getting your mortgage through the folks at Portage Bank. So don't wait. Now's the time to contact Jen, contact Denise. Again, Jen's number is 425-308-8082. And again, Denise is at 425-309-2318. Visit acmehomeswa.com right now. Don't wait. Thank you again for listening to the Quarterback Dadcast. So with that, let's get right to today's episode. Hey everybody, it's Casey Jaycox for the Quarterback Dadcast, and we are recording on early December. This episode is going to come out in January. We are going to be in season 3, and this episode is one. I've talked to this next Wildcat for a few months about this, and we finally have booked him. I talked to his agent. Super tough to get. He's been traveling in jets, maybe. But his name's Kenny Russaw, and he is the regional director of a software real estate firm called Side, doing great things, impacting the market. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Kenny, the father. Kenny was a former college teammate of mine at Central Washington. Shout out to Uncle Rico right there. Someone I respected, someone I look up to, someone that he was 2 years older than me. When I had a chance to throw to him, it was like, you got the butterflies because you're throwing to one of the best guys in the team. But I'm here to learn more about Kenny, the father, how he grew up. Again, these are conversations I wish I would have had 20 years ago, but the power of this podcast has given me this platform to do so. But without further ado, Mr. Kenny Russaw, welcome to the Quarterback Dadcast.
Wow, that is a great intro, Mr. Jaycox. What a privilege to be here. And I know we've talked about this for a while, so I just think what you're doing is fantastic, and you're just taking off. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, man.
I appreciate it, brother. Well, I don't know if you remember this, but I'm going to go doubles right, doubles left, 71 H out, Z stop. My first collegiate legit completion, 3rd and 16 to you. First down at Cal Poly. I take an illegal hit. Forney got hurt. Then he's freaking so tough. He came back in, played as best he could before the injury knocked him out for a game. But I still remember that play like it was yesterday.
Yeah, that was what a fun. Well, we got to play down in California, and the atmosphere was unbelievable that time of year. The weather perfect, and that was always awesome to be able to play against a level up and see where you match. You completing those passes against DBs that are running 4.2s or whatever. That's the ultimate competition. And yeah, man, we didn't get that W, but we competed.
Yep.
and we showed up.
Yep. 100%, man. All right. So I always like to start each episode with, what are you most grateful for as a father right now?
That's awesome. I have 3 boys, 2 in the house. And, just through everything we've been through this last 24 plus months, um, the impact that's had on people. I mean, I went and got, I have a personal mechanic and went and saw him. I didn't see him much during COVID because, who's driving a lot, right? So had to go get an oil change and went down to see him, and he just starts tearing up because COVID impacted him and his family in some way that he saw a familiar face he hadn't seen in a while and just released.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, I'm most thankful that my boys are healthy, that we didn't have any issues through this pandemic throughout our primary family. And that even though they drive me crazy on a daily basis, they make me extremely proud on a daily basis as well.
Awesome, man. I'm most grateful for, I had a moment, actually two things. I was going to say this weekend, I saw a toughness in my daughter who I've not, I know she was tough, but this was like next level tough. She had a pretty good collision with another girl on the basketball court, dislocated her tooth, had to get emergency ortho work done. We found an orthodontist, again, Bob Hager Orthodontics. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for doing what you did. They saw her on a Saturday before a Christmas party. The guy opens up his office. I'm not even a patient. Puts emergency braces on my daughter, and then my daughter's like, "Well, Dad, I'm playing the 545 game, right?" I mean, if me, I would have been airlifted, right?
Right.
But I'm just so proud of her that she just has the grit and resilience, and obviously it comes from my wife Carrie. And then
that's right, tough like her mom.
Right, exactly. And I share with you and Forney. I think it's when my dad is in hospice, and as December. Whether he'll be with us in January, I'm not sure, but I'm just so grateful, Kenny, for the time I've been able to spend with him over those last 2 weeks and seeing my kids see the side of him they haven't seen because of the dementia. And it's almost like the dementia is kind of going away as he gets ready to pass. Yeah. And to see me as their dad tear up a couple times about like what my dad meant to me. And the guy never missed a football game, almost bankrupt himself. Whether we're going to shithole towns like freaking Abilene Christian. I was third string quarterback. He still traveled down just to watch me warm up.
Right.
He loved Central football more than, he just loved it. So I'm just grateful for those experiences with my kids that they get to see Grandpa Mike before he passes.
Yes, sir.
All right. So why don't you tell us just a little bit? I did a brief intro. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing job wise. I want to hear about that real quick. Like just quick couple minutes.
Yeah, I made a transition career wise, and it'd been a while since I did that. You and I had some conversations months back, and in October I made a change. I was with the company for 7.5 years, and 10 years ago that was nothing.
Right.
Everything was, you got 20 years, and now it's like dinosaur years. You make it past 5. But, I think with the pandemic, I was in a great position with my former company. They're fantastic people, great, but I just felt like I need a change. And I'd always been fascinated with the real estate industry. The entrepreneurial side of that, coming from a perspective of a sales executive or leader, getting back into kind of an entrepreneurial type of sell was something that was fascinating. So did some vetting, and through that was contacted by a company that's a startup out of the Bay Area called Side. And really what we are is a white label brokerage that partners with the top 2% of real estate professionals. And through our platform and our technology, we're really kind of changing the game in the real estate industry.
Very cool.
And it's fantastic. And the company's at Series D funding. So it's scaling up to perhaps going public in the next 18, 24 months. We'll see. And I'm the regional director of partnerships. So in Washington State and Oregon. So it's a privilege. It's my second time working for a startup, and it's just gangbusters. It's exciting. It's hectic. It's a lot of things going on, but I'm always up for the challenge, and we're gonna do some great things here.
That's so cool. Exciting stuff. Yep. We'll make sure those are linked in the show notes when we get done with this episode. I want to go back and learn about Kenny when Kenny grew up. Now, when I met you, you were this sleek, fast brother, number 6, always getting open, always, stronger than hell, funnier than hell, just, but I don't know about Kenny and how Kenny grew up. So talk me back to what was life like growing up. How did your parents have an impact on you now that you're a father?
Yeah, I wish the sleek was still in play, Casey. It's been
I
years,
think, what are you
but
talking about? Those shoulders look pretty tight. I can see them.
they're trying. So where do we start? I come from on my mom's side, a military background. My grandfather was a lieutenant colonel in the Army,
Okay.
and 5 children. My mom has 4 siblings. They traveled. Each kid was born in a different state, and his second to last stop was Fort Lewis. And so, my mom met my dad, who was also in the Army, soon after graduating high school. They became young parents, had me, and we moved back. Actually, my dad's from the Detroit area, so we moved over there. Again, young parents, so things didn't quite work out. My mom came back here, and she raised me as a single mom. And you talked about your dad going to see you, whether you're third string, warming up, really supporting you at every turn, whether you're the star quarterback or not quite there yet. And I got to see that with my mom. No one in this world is stronger than a single mom. She worked 2 jobs.
Wow.
And would show up to every single game. Everything I was doing, and I was doing a lot, because the one thing was, she was like, "Baby, you can do whatever you want." I would have a hard time committing. I'd play a sport. I played soccer, tennis, basketball, football, baseball, and I probably needed someone to say, "Hey, maybe these are the 3 that you do really great."
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Do them all," and I'll come to everything you do. So grew up in Lakewood, Washington, and it was great growing up. Tacoma is fantastic because it's a very diverse area, and a lot of that diversity is created by the military aspect, right? You have the Army, you have the Air Force, with McCord, and so you get a lot of different people who are born on the East Coast, some people born in Germany. You'll learn a lot from that, and so that was great. Going to Lakes High School. Again, you get that mix of like a third of the student body being military, kids coming in and out, you're meeting different people. So I think that really was an awesome experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it led to who I am today. So when I went to college, I grew up where, I had friends, white friends, Filipino friends who lived on a lake. I also had white friends, black friends, or whatever, who were on food stamps, and so just having that kind of perspective and different varieties in your life, I think really helped me. When I went to college in Ellensburg, I was kind of overwhelmed. Never really spent much time in a rural area.
Not a lot of diversity in Ellensburg.
No, but our team, you start meeting people, and you realize, there's some common ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what helps me is, growing up the way I did, seeing different types of people helped me be able to make connections with people pretty easily. And so that's kind of my story. Now, in terms of athletics, I lettered in 4 sports.
Wow.
And I always had a hard time choosing between soccer and baseball. Because they played at the same time. And what I would do is like, okay, I'm playing this, I'd play soccer for the school. And then in the summertime, I'd play baseball. And then the next year, I'd play baseball for the school, and I'd play soccer. And it's driving my coaches crazy, right? But I couldn't figure it out. And looking back, soccer was something I played early, like most kids. It's like one of the first development sports that you can play. It's fantastic. I think I got a lot of my good footwork from soccer. I was pretty good. I was able to score a lot of goals somehow, and so I had an opportunity to go to college for soccer, but it got to a point where when I became a junior in football, and we had some good teams at Lakes, I kind of leaned towards the football thing. I was like, if I'm going to go to college and play something, I think I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's just a great support in terms of my family, and I've always felt that. So
Now, is your mom still with us?
yes, she is.
Awesome.
She is. She lives in Linwood. She's got a couple of her sisters kind of near her. So yeah, it's good.
Okay. And did you have siblings?
I do. Here's a story if you want to get into stories. I do. I have a brother who's 15 and a half years younger. Okay. So it's fascinating because the number one school recruiting me, there are two schools recruiting me really heavily out of high school for football. It was Montana and Eastern. Okay. And then Central was right there too. And I went on my recruit trip to Eastern. It was like a blizzard. And a guy who was a mentor of mine in high school, Bobby Fuller, was my host. He played corner at Eastern, took great care of me. So I come back from that trip, and I was sick because it was cold over there. I think I got a cold. So when the head coach came in for the visit, I'm not going to name his name. My mom's like, you don't want to get what he has. He's not going to come out, but I'll talk to you, right? My brother's like he's like a year old. Well, the Eastern coach was convinced that my brother was my kid. You believe this?
No way.
And he kept peppering questions like to my mom, like, are you sure? Where she felt uncomfortable, and basically was like, when he left, she was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
That kind of eliminated them because it was just a weird assumption. Like he could not believe that was my brother because of the age difference.
Right.
Yeah. So I do have a sibling. He's he lives close to my mom, and he's about 31.
Athlete too, like you?
No, he's definitely into sports. He never really got into sports like that. He's kind of he's a gamer. He's that first wave of gamers, he's
Okay.
tech savvy. If I have my internet goes out or the TV's not working, I call him. He'll fix anything in our house. It's funny. And he's into sports. We have that as common ground. He knows sports in and out, but he never got into it really.
Wow. I'm jealous of handy people. I might be the least handiest person in United States history.
Right.
It's interesting. So like, as I think back to, actually, before I ask you that, so as you think about your dad game now, single mom, tougher nails. I don't know if you had a stepdad throughout your journey, but like what lessons did you take from your mom that you're really present on as a father right now when you're working? I mean, being the dad to your two boys at home and obviously 3 overall.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, perseverance. I think if anything I take from my mom, it's perseverance. No excuses. Grinding, I'm gonna get it done. I'll be there. I'll show up. And I try to instill that in my boys. Like, hey, it's okay. I don't emphasize winning and losing. They're too young. They're 8 and 4. But you're gonna fight. You're gonna play hard, and you're gonna overcome objections. You're gonna overcome obstacles. You're gonna fight to do it. And if you don't do it, you'll try it again. And that's probably the number one thing I took away from. And just showing a lot of love. Like you said, your kids seeing you tear up about your dad. I'm a very affectionate parent, and that's because of how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's funny. My mom, I don't remember a lot of I love yous in my. I mean, it was definitely affectionate, but definitely not with my dad. And I don't, need to make that negative about my dad. I think of like dads in that generation, the 40s, 30s, and 40s. You didn't do that.
Kind of a tough love.
Yeah, some dads did, and I think I think I'm probably like that not because I felt like neglected or didn't have that, but I want my kids, Ryder and Riley, to know that saying I love you is so normal. And why wouldn't you say you? If I kiss you in the cheek in front of your friends, why wouldn't I do that? You're my kid.
Exactly. Right.
And I want that to be so normal. And, whether it's talking about drinking or sex or whatever thing that like, how do you think you got here? Like me and your mom hooked up, right? used to make out with her in 8th grade in the locker. Like, give me some
Oh
love
yeah.
here, and but like talking about those things, that's where so I love that you're already going down that affection route. That's great. Your kids are learning. And how old is your oldest?
He's 22.
Okay.
Yeah. And he graduated University of Oregon. He had some, he got an internship on the East Coast right when the pandemic hit. And it wasn't in New York. And it just like, I was very scared for him, but it's all worked out. But at the time it was like, whoa, as a dad, you can't do anything. You can't protect that because it's so far away. He's so far
Yep.
away. Right. So
Is he still back in New York?
no, he came back.
He did. Okay.
Yeah.
I was saying he's back there. Maybe that's the reason to hook up our boy Dale. My boy Dale, he's back in Jersey. I could hook him.
I'd love to meet Dale. And I actually have a trip back east coming for work in the next couple months. So definitely we'll
making this happen. Dale's my guy. This will fill my tank if I see you guys in a picture. Okay. So, as I think about like our journey at Central, ma'am, like, I've talked about this before. 2020 taught me so much. It opened up my eyes how privileged of life I've lived, and it really exposed my naivety as a middle-aged white guy, and it exposed because Central I had whites, African Americans, Hawaiians, Polynesians. They're just my teammates. I didn't think about it, and I didn't think to be more curious. And I think what I loved about some of the episodes I've had is I want to bring more diversity to this podcast. I want to bring more diversity to fathers of all races to be able to talk about these things. Because if we can help teach our kids that it's okay to talk about these things, come curious, not judgmental, it's going to change cultures. It's going to change worlds, I think. Sure. And I'd rather think big and go far, like we talk about limitless minds, than just assume when someone else is going to do it. I'm sorry for not being more curious earlier in our 20s, but as you think back to like your journey as a dad, relating to struggles with either racism you felt yourself, talk about how that's impacted you, and how do you manage that with your kids? I'd love to understand more about that.
Yeah, that's great. And some of this stuff comes from, straight up, how you grew up. If you didn't grow up around a lot of diversity, sometimes it's hard to understand. Maybe that's something that is needed, right? Yeah. I was fortunate, and let's say the white kids I grew up with were fortunate in the sense of being around different things when we were 7, 8, 9, 10 and up, and so their mindset on diversity might be different than someone who grew up, let's say, in a rural area where it's 98% white. Mm-hmm. And so you have to understand, like, a lot of that isn't necessarily someone's problem. I'm glad that what's transpired with it's interesting how the pandemic brought about like more awareness towards, some of the issues that we've been talking about with the George Floyd stuff. And I've told the story at my old company where, I'd been profiled a few times driving, pulled over. What's the reason? No reason, just checking you out, and then how many people just from being profiled. And I'm not saying, have been put in a situation or put themselves in a situation because they were profiled that, all of a sudden, we notice this is an issue or that's an issue. And that's part of the privilege, right? When you get profiled, it's the most, all of a sudden they're targeting you. And if you're not 100%, everything's 100% intact, all of a sudden you have a case on you or something like that. And that's what's happened to a lot of black men, basically, what I'm saying. So, having told a story about being profiled, how violating that is. If you're, to any man, we're men, you're going to feel like someone is just harassing you for no reason. Like, that's going to piss you off. Right. And that's going to be hurtful.
Right.
And then, people get, so I think, it was interesting, and I was very transparent with my kids. I'm transparent. They're mixed race, black and white, and but they also understand at an early age that some of the things we're discussing right now, they're them being of mixed race could be an issue to some people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I tell a story that my wife, her dad is salt of the earth, one of the best human beings you'll ever meet, and here's a difference I think between like white culture and people of color is, one of my kids, young, said, he was pointing out someone's color, and my wife's dad's like, oh, no, 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 hey, we don't see color. And I understood what he was saying. Like, as a white person, you probably feel like if we talk color, that's a slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I was like, hold on, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Because in a black house, you do talk. You're very open. I have cousins of mixed race, and I have white people in my family, I have black people in my family, and we talk. We go there, and
Yeah.
that's a difference. And he looked at me like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. You've been at my family dinners now. My family gets a little crazy, but we will. We openly talk about issues. We openly talk about that person's black, that person's this or that."
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a difference. I said, that's okay. I think it's okay for kids to recognize. And
Yep.
then it's how you educate on top of it.
I love that. I mean, what's interesting is, we've talked a lot about social issues, social unrest with my kids, and they are like, they can't believe, like they feel like it's like that. How did that go on? Like, and they get almost mad. Like they get mad, like what on in the, forever. And so it's fun to be able to make sure that they know that at least, like I know that I'm never going to solve racism when I'm alive, but if I can make a dent in it, and if I can impact two kids that impact their friends, and if someone says something, they can speak up to know that's not okay. Those aren't the friends I want. If you're going to say things like that or make a joke about that, like that's not okay.
Right.
And I don't know. That's been very, again, because 5 years ago, I don't know if I would have had these conversations with my kids. If I'm being honest, I would have liked to have said that, but I think what we went through, getting having a friendship with Dale, it brought so much more curiosity to me to learn and talk about these things as dads. So if anything, if there's dads home, I hope you've learned a lot with what we're talking about here with just get curious, right? And learn more about where people come from.
That's it. I think too, it's unfortunate that it took, just going back and, that it kind of took, thank goodness for the camera phone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always felt like if I said, hey, I dealt with this situation, that there was an angle where people think you're pulling the card, right? Well, now with the camera phones, that situation is being captured more and more. But that's very hurtful for someone to think automatically like you're not telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I have no reason to lie about someone being racist to me.
Right.
But if your angle is, I don't know if that's true, and it's just different perspectives. So I think the camera phones educated people, the things that are being captured, people eliminating some of that. I could never imagine that happening, so there's no way that could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's
privilege. I think privilege too is a word that I know I'll speak from my perspective. Like I don't want to generalize all white people, but I think some white people think privilege. They think they go to, well, I work my ass off. What are you talking about?
Sure.
And I think that's where if I can help, if there's white, Caucasian, if we're listening, like privilege is like, I talked to Andy Parks. Andy Parks told me, he goes, Casey, you'll never know what it feels like to walk down the street and have two white people walking at you or two people of color walking at you, and they move their purse from the left shoulder to the right shoulder.
Yeah.
You'll never know what that feels like. And I go, I don't feel guilty. I don't want to feel guilty, but that's privilege. And that's like light bulbs are going off. Talk to Lorenzo Romar, Coach Romar, talked very similar stories about the LA riots from the roof with his dad. whether it's, getting profiled, getting pulled over, those things, you'll never know
Yeah.
what it feels like. And I think I'm taking accountability as a white father to make sure that I educate my kids that this stuff goes on, and help stop it. Like help be a force of change versus, well, someone else will do it.
Right. And you see that with the kids naturally, whether it's because of the internet or, places are, here's an example. When I was a kid, Graham was podunk. It was, there were no people of color in Graham. Now
We're
you go to
talking Graham,
Graham,
Washington, for the
yeah, Graham,
listeners at home.
Washington. You go to Graham now, and there's a lot of diversity out there, right?
Wow.
And so, what my point is, I think rural areas are becoming more diverse, and with that, the kids are a little bit more, open-minded. I feel like, and it's not just about race; it's about sexual preference and everything.
Yep.
Everything's changing,
Yep.
and they're a lot more on it than we were, just because they're exposed to a lot more too. And I think it's a good thing if we embrace that
Mm-hmm.
versus think it's not a good thing because we have our own limitations. They're going to take us to new heights.
Totally agree. So as you think about your journey as a father, you got one that's out of the house, you got younger ones at home. Maybe talk about lessons learned with the old one that you want to do differently with the younger ones.
Oh yeah, it's like different chapters in my life because I was very young when I had my first boy.
Hey everybody, it's Casey Jaycox. I want to take a quick break to talk about my friends up at Catch Sitka Seafoods who continue to be just an amazing loyal sponsor. And for those of you who've tried it, thank you. For those of you who haven't, you're missing out. And now's the time to make sure that you visit catchsitkaseafoods.com and get some of those amazing smoked salmon. Get some of that amazing rockfish, blackfish, black cod, salmon, whatever it might be, whatever you like. But what's great about opportunities they have, now's the time to subscribe to a box so that you're going to get that reliable cadence of the best fish directly from the dock to the doorstep. And what's great about Catch Sitka Seafoods, they make it so easy. So those that maybe aren't the best chefs at home, doesn't matter. They're going to give you this beautiful, nice laminated recipe card that tells you exactly how long to cook it, whether you're going to barbecue, you're going to bake, you're going to fry, whatever the way you want to do it, they're going to make it easy. So please visit them today, catchsitkaseafoods.com. Sign up for a subscription so that you're going to get the best fish delivered directly to your door. You won't regret it. And just like my daughter Riley says, Dad, I don't even like fish. And she does now because of my friends up at Catch Sitka Seafood. So with that, let's get right back to today's episode.
And 25-year-old Kenny versus 45-year-old Kenny are two different people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely, I don't know if my wife would say this, but I'm definitely more patient. I'm not young. I'm not making young mistakes, but I think too, principally, you go through life and I went through some things I had to persevere through in my 20s, and then get right. It's just that every few years you go through something that hopefully makes you a better person, and you figure things out, right? So the benefit to my kids today is that I'm more established. I'm more willing. I'm not in that crazy stage where it's like, hey, I'm just out of college. I want to still have fun. I'm more willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the family and my kids. Not looking at it like, oh my God, all day soccer tournament. I'm like, yes, we have an all day soccer tournament. So just the evolution of us as adults,
Mm-hmm.
that we all go through, to be hopefully better people and better parents. I think principally I'm similar, but I'm just wiser,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that helps.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What as you think about the journey of fatherhood you're on, and we're no one's perfect, right? And
Right.
we all got gaps. And I think one of the goals of this podcast I have is for dads to be able to listen at home and be like, oh man, that's something I'm struggling with this too, or I'm trying to work on that. And then for me, I've talked openly on many episodes that like patience. I
Yeah.
think as a competitive person, patience is usually the one that struggles. So I am like super self-aware, and I've learned to like figure out ways to like control it so I'm not like a freak out, because my dad could drop the most amazing goddammits in the world. Like
Yeah.
just intense GD bombs. And it'd make me laugh, like just like you did.
Right.
And so for you, like maybe talk about an area of your dad game where you're trying to improve and be really present and self-aware about.
Well, I think that I'm pretty self-aware, like you were saying about yourself. I look at one of the things that ticks me off is like getting on these teams and these dads that are just uber competitive and really, really all about winning and not really about watching every kid improve and that at an early stage, and that's
Mm-hmm.
really what the emphasis in teaching them to compete, but not look at winning as the end all. So that frustrates me, and I'll never be like that with my kids. At least not until they show like a competency as an older teenager that yeah, this is what I can do if that ever happened. Um, so I think the thing I need to work on is just not. I mean, again, patience. Is something I think I've improved on, but I can always get better at. Your kids are going to challenge you, especially when they're younger. Younger
Mm-hmm.
boys will challenge parents, and they're not thinking the same way, and they're not supposed to. So I'm just working on my patience. I think I'm pretty present. Definitely want to not be selfish. I mean, I'll get a golf round in here and there, but
We still
you
got to
know,
play, by the way.
yeah, we do. We got to get out there. But just I think I'm just working on. I think it's good for me to be transparent with my kids about, hey, I'm evolving still.
Yep.
I'm not a finished product. I'm going to make mistakes.
Yep. Love that.
I didn't see that clearly. I thought you hit your brother. I wasn't taking into account that he might have kicked you in the shin, and that's what led to you smacking him, right? So I apologize. That's one thing I do um, with my kids is I'll readily apologize if I caught a mistake I made and say, look, man, I missed that. That's on me. Trying to build and instill accountability and and trying to be that influence towards it and be the person that they look at and say, okay, that's my mentor, that's the dude. So if he's doing that, then I need to act that way. So just always being a leader,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never easy, and sometimes you know you can be the ultimate leader, but you're also looking and saying, I need to talk to somebody. I could be led right now. I need someone to give me some guidance,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where mentors and people like yourself. I try to surround myself with people who I respect, who can give me different insight into how to better myself. That helps me be a better person and a better father.
Love it, dude. I wrote down a lot, and I hope people are home are writing down. I wrote, patience is a struggle. Dad is always evolving. You even apologize. Dad, we've done episodes, Kenny, on the power of just saying I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So many dads think about that as like weakness. It's strength. It is strength when you teach your kids it's okay to apologize, because you show them that no one's perfect. We all got gaps. That's where I say that watching film was the best thing for us in business and life,
hmm
right? And people don't know what we're talking about. Like, you think we watch film, we don't watch doubles right 95x and the post completion 9 times. We watched Casey make a horrendous decision, a bad pick, a bad read 9 times in a row, and Coach Baldwin's going to make me realize not to kick me when I'm down, but learn, right? And so
right,
we have to be coachable. And I think when you're leading like that from home, and if you're not, figure out a way to do that in a simple way. Is ask them, hey
right,
kids, tell me how I can be a better dad this week. Ask the wife, how can I be a better husband this week? And be open to what they might say.
be open to feedback, man. That's
Yep.
not just a corporate thing. It's not just a
No.
business thing. It's not a work thing. It's also in the family. And then take that constructive feedback and see how you can implement it and improve yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not easy for a lot of people. Folks have insecurities that getting feedback can tap into that. But then that's the other thing you have to work on. If you have that insecurity, is why do you have that? Why do you think that way? And how can you get over that and get better? So there's a lot there, but
Love that.
We embrace it. I mean, I think that's where being a former athlete helps you. It helps you in terms of leadership. It helps you in terms of assessing because, like you said, you're watching film, you're on blast. You just threw a pick, you just dropped a touchdown, and everyone in that film room, and they keep rewinding it, and you're like, oh my God, you're getting killed. But what are you going to do? You're the butt of the jokes for the day in the locker room, right? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You going to go back out and throw 3 touchdowns,
Yeah.
or are you going to throw 3 picks? Well, we step up. So you got to step up in life.
Yeah. That's where your mom's advice, the perseverance is coming out. It's coming out again. I know we're a little bit on a time crunch, so I will wrap us up here. So as you think about what we talked about, if you could summarize for dads at home or whoever's listening at home, like actionable tasks or advice from our conversation that they can use to be a better leader, better quarterback of their household, tell me what comes to mind.
I mean, everyone's different. Everyone has their different dynamics. Again, for me, it's one thing I really believe wholeheartedly is important is showing affection and love. Okay. I think leading your kids towards being accountable. I'm a big believer in accountability. And if you can instill that early, it's going to help them be better adults, better leaders, all that. And I just think also, like we just talked about, just it's okay to not be perfect. And it's okay to admit that to your kids. And like you said, and get feedback. How can I get better? Mm-hmm. You're going to ask them for the same. You're going to give them the same feedback. This is how you can get better. But they should also be able to challenge that with you. So I just think that those are the kind of the principles I kind of focus towards.
Love it. Affection, love, teach accountability. I just had a great, real quick accountability story. My son struggled one of his classes, had a tough, but he could redo it, like redo to get some points back. And I said, well, we're gonna do everything we can to do that, but we're gonna email the teacher, but I want you to take the first stab. Mm-hmm. And he did it, and I said, and instead of just getting the answer, I said, well, tell me what we might want to change. Well, I'm not sure. I got him to a point where he asked for help, and then we said we did this. Then Carrie looked at it too. Well, the teacher emailed him back last night and said, Ryder, thanks for your email. I never get these types of emails from a teacher, from a kid. So thank you. Mm-hmm. And now it wasn't like, I think you got ended up getting like a B out of it, whatever. But the fact that you did something uncommon to teach accountability to a teacher who knew it, I think people will give you the benefit of doubt in life when they know you're putting in the effort. You're trying
exactly.
So I hope that he remembers that as he gets older in life. All right. Now we go into what's called a lightning round, Kenny.
Yep.
I go random. My job is to try to get you to laugh. I'm not counting that giggle. And people at home, you can't see. I can see his beautiful face, but you can't. So your job is to answer these questions as quick as you can.
Okay.
In a race right now, who's winning? You or Wushnik, LT?
I'm still getting him.
Okay. Wushnik, double.
I'm thicker than him, but the thighs are moving.
Okay. If we had a race right now, mile race, Forney versus Baldwin, who's winning? Forney, I like that. He's kind of gritty competitive.
Yeah,
I'm on to say no.
He's into that kind of stuff too. Baldwin's not. Definitely.
If I was to come to your house right now, what are we cooking for dinner?
We're cooking up I got a good chicken I make. I bake it and grill it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Getting hungry.
It's juicy and it's awesome.
There we go.
Yep.
Your dream foursome. Who's playing golf with you?
T Woods. God, that's good, Casey. My Uncle Harold. Gosh, that's good. I mean, I'm going, I'm not going interpersonal too much. I'm going to go big here. I go Barack Obama.
Love it. Longest book I ever read, by the way, 700 pages. I read that thing last year.
My mom read that too. I haven't got to that.
Oh, it was long. Peace, huh? It's a long one. I'm glad he could have probably wrote it in 500 words, but it was almost like a competition. Like, I'm not letting this thing beat me. I'm going to win. I'm going to read this thing. Great book though. Tell me the best piece of advice you've ever received in your life.
I had a old boss who's also a mentor. He's still a mentor. And it's quite simple. He said, do the right thing for the right reasons.
Mm,
That's life. And I take that everywhere I go.
love it. Last question. Actually, two last questions. If they were to write a book about your life, what would be the title?
Oh man, it would be. Oh man, that's a good one. I would say it's uh, Evolution of Kenny Russaw.
There we go. Evolution of Ken Russo. I love it. And then if we made that into a movie, you're going straight Hollywood. Who's playing you?
I mean, if and I'm, he's better looking than me, as my wife's dad would say. It's one of his sayings. Uh, in, in lieu of the fact that this is one of her favorite men in the world, he'd probably, if she met him, I'd probably be kicked to the curb. I would say Idris Elba.
Love it. Love it.
Yep.
And then last question. Tell me your favorite Central Washington memory as a receiver.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
I was gonna tell the Mike Jackson and the cart story, which is, I don't know if you remember that one. That was, but if it's a personal, my favorite touchdown of all time for me personally was the championship year, the touchdown at Hardin Simmons, when I kind of split the two guys and they sandwiched me and they're both on the ground and I'm standing over them with, in the end zone. Because remember, I don't know if you remember, they're those Texans, they talk a lot of smack.
mm-hmm.
They're cheerleaders and they're fans. It was crazy. And to catch that ball, and then those guys are on the ground, and I'm looking around at the cheerleaders, and me and EJ are just talking to them a little bit. That was my funnest touchdown. Funnest memory, just after that championship game, being in the locker room. Me, I'm an emotional guy. I'm crying,
Mm-hmm.
but just hugging all of my teammates. Like the journey was so amazing. So that's something you just never forget.
It seems like yesterday. I was a 19-year-old third string quarterback, sending signals into John Kitna at that Hardin game Simmons. I still remember, I think EJ scored on 66X.
Yeah.
And just took it and ran to the hizzy.
Yeah.
I know we're short on time, Kenny. I can't thank you enough, man. This has been awesome. It's been so good to see your face. It's been so good to hear your voice. I want to thank all the dads and moms and families for listening at home. I want to thank our sponsors. They're still with us. What happens next year, I'm not sure, but I'll still give them some love. Catch Sick of Seafoods and Acme Homes. Acme Homes, by the way, Kenny. Bob Cumming, former Central guy. So
yeah.
If we're looking for a new home, give Acme Homes Washington a shout out. If people want to follow you or learn more about you, where can I send them?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I think it's just under Kenny Russaw. Other than that, I'm not huge on social, but yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So just, if you want to reach out, connect with me there. I'm open to any and every opportunity to meet people. So it's all
awesome.
good.
I will make sure that happens in the show notes. This episode is in the book. When we hear this, it's going to be January, season 3. And Kenny, I can't thank you enough for your friendship and your time, brother.
Man, Casey, I'm so proud of you, and this has been awesome. You do a great job. I listen to a lot of your stuff, and it's interesting topics. You go there. You're educating people with the people you bring in. You're mixing it up with different parts of your life, and I appreciate that. Go see Woo always, right, and let's get on the golf course at some point in 22.
Yep, 100%. All right, brother. Have a good day.
You too, man.